What up, YouTube? It's your boy Banks. And we back in the building, you feel me? It's True Talks. Cause True Talks, alright? Let's get straight right into it. Bruh. Man, the Nets are struggling right now, man. The Nets are struggling, and obviously, you already know they missed the game winner. Oh my God. Kyrie and KD said they were talking smack. Ain't nobody else could shoot it like me. Only that guy can. That guy can. And they're showing clips of the misses, the two misses in the game winner. They didn't show the clip of the makes, you know what I mean, that Kyrie made in the other one. But it's okay. It happens. You know what I'm saying? You already know. Obviously, media is going to have an uproar with this. Already know they're struggling. They're 3-4. I think they're 3-4. I'm pretty sure 3-3 or 3-4. I'm pretty sure it's 3-4. They lost the last two games, 2-game losing streak, one to the Hawks, and then one that they should have never had to the Wizards, which was last night. Okay. So obviously people are like, oh my God, it's not going to work. And they're just going, they're going on an uproar. There's chaos and there's, just negative energy, obviously back towards those two guys. And that they're not it, and the Nets are trash, and whatever the case is, that's what they do. That's what media's gonna media. Fans are gonna fan. You know what I'm saying? So I'm here to give it that IQ, because that's what I do. What are the real issues? What is really going on with the Nets? Because regardless, however you slice it, it's correct. They're not supposed to lose to the Wizards. The Hawks, maybe, but even then, it should have been a closer game than what it was. But the fact that they lost to the Wizards, who are playing atrocious to start the season. And the Wizards aren't no scrubs. Their record is worse than what they actually are. But regardless, if the Nets are supposed to be a championship caliber team at home, that's a dub. No ifs, ands, or buts. Obviously, it is at least the fact that you lost in a game winning situation is a better sign. But there's bigger underlying issues to this loss that I'm going to point out. That media's not going to point out. They're going to obviously put the blame on KD and Kyrie. Obviously. So now let's go into that context, because I give it that context. Let's go straight right into it. So we're not doing no clips. I'm just going to talk. And, I'm just going to give it that IQ, because that's what I do. You're going to see clip. When I explain things, the clips they'll pop up. I'll go to the corner and all that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? I'll go to the corner and spot up in the corner right there. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm going to explain what their issues are. So the first thing, they have multiple issues. All right. So when you first seen people like, oh my God, they were only beating the Warriors. And when they started off the season, remember preseason, they were slapping guys. They slapped Boston, which people were surprised. Not the fact that they slapped them, it's the defense, right? And people were surprised with their defense on the Warriors and the defense on the Celtics. The first two games when they went 2-0. And I was even surprised as well, too, because that's what I was saying coming into the season. My two issues for them is going to be whether they can defend and their health. That's my only two concerns. Anything else, especially offensively, I have no worries for the rest of my days. That's what I have. Hakuna Matata. That's what I was having on offense. You know what I'm saying? That's how I was moving. That's the energy I was bringing. You know what I'm saying? And like you see, clearly, there is some issues offensively, but in the grand scheme of things, they're still shooting not too bad. You know what I'm saying? They're still putting up points. They're still getting 130. Like they're literally beating guys, outscoring them and all that type of stuff. Their issues have been defensively, which they didn't have to start the season. So I'll explain what changed in that aspect, right? And their issues that I didn't think was going to be an issue was their defensive rebounding. And then something I thought was going to be an issue was their chemistry issues. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to show you, when I talk, I'm going to show you certain things. You're going to get a visual from the game from last night. You know what I'm saying? About what I'm currently explaining. All right. So you'll see it when it correlates and when it matters. It'll pop up and, put me in the corner, whatever the case is. So let's start out with the first issue. So before we actually talk about the on-court actual rebounding, whatever issues, we're going to talk about the hierarchy or the play style issues in terms of role players. And these are certain things that even with their bad communications and bad defensive rebounding and bad defense at times and stuff like that, if they didn't have this issue that I'm about to mention, they still would be winning games. One, obviously Dinwiddie getting injured changed energy and changed a lot of the things, right? So when Dinwiddie was there obviously a small sample size is only 2 games, but with Dinwiddie struggling, at least there was hierarchy. You already know who the top 4 best guys are: KD, Kyrie, and then LeVert and Dinwiddie. They kind of interchange, right? But it's not just the fact that it's the hierarchy, the hierarchy is already established, but the main thing is just play style. What I mean by that is that LeVert and Dinwiddie, right? LeVert can actually play off the ball. He can play off the ball, right? He can play off the ball. He can play more off the ball than actual Dinwiddie can. Dinwiddie is more limited in terms of off the ball. He's not really the greatest catch and shoot guy. He could shoot, but he's not like a catch and shoot guy. He's more so a pick and roll guy, and he'll do step backs off the dribble, off his rhythm. He'll hit step back threes off of that, his side step 3. And a lot of his takes are like floaters, blow by, and his scoop layups, and just hesitation, pick and roll with the guy, throw the alley or do the scoop lay. Like, that's how he plays. He's more like D'Angelo Russell bred, you know what I'm saying, with less shooting. That's what he normally is. That's his play style. So, and there's more like a Luka and all those guys. They're not off-ball players. They're more on-ball players. That's why that's their best version of themselves, right? So Dinwiddie that's his best version. So now when he's there, have to play off the ball with KD and Kyrie. That's why you've seen struggles even to start the season. But at least they were still defending. They had a defending mentality when he was there. He also, as much as he was struggling on offense, because he doesn't catch and shoot. So when Kyrie has pick and roll and he's playing off the ball, it's harder to kick it to him in the corner. He's just going to spot up and shoot. Like, he was struggling. He's trying to find his way. And I said that's going to be the one weakness and one issue, because everyone else seems in sync, because LeVert is playing pick and roll when he's playing with the bench. He's that 5 bench lineup where he's with Allen. He's doing pick and roll the way he was playing in the bubble. So Dinwiddie is the one who's kind of not playing in something that he likes or something that he's great at. So he's struggling to find his way. And that was the kind of the one outlier from how they were playing great at the beginning. Obviously, I took a lot into the account at the beginning, because it wasn't the fact that they beat the Warriors. It was the second game when they slapped the Celtics. And I'm honestly adding to that when they slapped them in the preseason as well, because both teams played at least decent minutes with their stars, right? So I'm looking at it 2 straight times you played them, you slapped them. And it's not just like you just beat them, and it's not that you just slapped them because you were scoring. You actually locked them up. Like, you actually locked them up. And Boston is not no scrub team. Like, Boston is a top team in the East. And you locked these guys up. Tatum was padded by KD. And I'm watching Joe Harris move and actually have defense. He actually was sliding, cutting off, and locking up Jaylen Brown. Like, I'm watching, paying attention to these detailed things. I'm looking how they move. So when I'm like, what? The Nets are having defense? Nah. It's about to be a wrap for a lot of y'all in the East. You know what I'm saying? That's why you've seen the hoopla and how a lot of people were reacting after the first 2 games. But what has changed now, ever since Dinwiddie went down with his ACL, with his injury, and you can see now that the shift has focused team-wise onto, we need to replace the stature or the hierarchy or the caliber of player that was in place out of that top 4. Now we have to replace this offensively. Dinwiddie, what he brought, even though he wasn't scoring OD as much, he was playmaking, like, just his role, just him being out there, right? You have to replace that factor, because at any given day, Dinwiddie could go off. So he's still a factor, right? So you have to replace that in terms of offense. So I could literally see the demeanor on the court. They paid less attention to defense, and they started worrying and shifting their focus more to offense. We have to replace this guy. TLC, are you going to replace him? And now when TLC's bricking on 1-2 game, Shaman is bricking on 1-2 game. We have to get Joe Harris more involved. That's why you see now Joe Harris benefiting from Dinwiddie being out. He's getting more production. Obviously, he still got shots, right? Because he's a guy who can play off the ball. He does that Klay Thompson ball movement, so he fits perfectly. So there's no issue with him. But now you don't go to Dinwiddie to run pick and roll at times, right? As do an alley with DeAndre, whatever the case is. So you're going to now Harris do more screens and all that type of stuff. So they're figuring out a replacement offensively for just the play that, or play style that Dinwiddie, and the hierarchy and just the factor he played in the offense, right? So I seen the shift of that, and they stopped focusing on defense. So that's why you see miscommunications on defense. You're seeing a lot of these things defensively struggle. You're seeing a lot of these things struggle. Before I even show those and show the communication issues and stuff that they're having and the miscommunications, I'm just explaining to you the Dinwiddie issue. It's actually a bigger issue than people thought, even a bigger issue than I thought. I didn't think they're going to completely shift how they play defensively when Dinwiddie was out. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think that they were going to do that. That's what's happening right now. That's what you're seeing. And that's why you're seeing more miscommunication. You're seeing less ball movement. You're seeing a lot of these things because now it's just there's issues, especially now LeVert isn't performing. There's issues. So what affected Dinwiddie, and this is what contributed a little bit to his injury as well, too, is that Dinwiddie was lost. So he was trying to figure himself out in terms of the offense because Dinwiddie was starting. Dinwiddie, normally IQ would have it where LeVert could play more off the ball. So you actually would have LeVert start, right? And then when KD and Kyrie go to the bench, you have the guy who pick and rolls the most. And that's his main play style, play like that. So Dinwiddie come off the bench and do what they have LeVert doing right now. The only reason why LeVert is doing that was because when Dinwiddie didn't go to the bubble, he lost his play. He had a better advantage at pick and roll play than LeVert because LeVert was playing with Dinwiddie at times and LeVert would have to always play more off the ball. He still would get it on the ball and do pick and roll and hop shots in the paint and mid range and stuff like that. Deep paint catch, deep paint pull ups and stuff like that. Go to the paint, double clutch, all of that. But what he improved in the bubble and what he showcased when Dinwiddie wasn't there, he ran the Dinwiddie role. He was the playmaker. He was the point guard basically. And he was eating. And there was success. So now they're like, nah, LeVert is actually better than Dinwiddie at it. It's like out of sight, out of mind. So Nash coming in, that's the most recent thing they see. You have Jacques Vaughn, who was the head coach of that, who's now an assistant. They're like, yo, let's actually put LeVert in that same role that he had in the bubble and just start Dinwiddie. That's the logic. So now, obviously, Dinwiddie is getting sussed on the back end where he now has to play an off the ball because IQ should actually have LeVert starting. He could play more off the ball like Joe Harris than Dinwiddie can. Obviously, LeVert does more when he's on the ball, but he does more off the ball than Dinwiddie off the ball, right? So you have to pick the lesser of two, right? So that's what would have been more IQ. But again, the bubble affected Dinwiddie's stock in terms of their play style, in terms of, the hierarchy, right? So that affected him. So now if he was playing off the bench and playing with Jared Allen, whatever, he might not have got that injury. But that injury, again, I think it would have happened regardless because it's like his leg hyperextended when he planted, and that's what tore the ACL. So that was something. It wasn't like, he forced OD really. Like he might not have happened, but I'm not gonna go that far. But that now is starting to affect LeVert now. You know what I'm saying? Because LeVert, when Dinwiddie was there, was just playing his 5 bench. He was playing less with KD and Kyrie and mainly was playing with that bench unit. But when Dinwiddie has been out, LeVert is getting different play styles. And like he's not getting a consistent play style every game. LeVert will start off when he comes in off the bench with that whole 5, running the bench, pick and roll with Allen, whatever. But now they've been staggering minutes because they've been sussing and there's no Dinwiddie and they've not performing as well with the bench. That now to start, like when LeVert, so they take out KD, they bring on LeVert, and LeVert is doing, instead of his whole bench where it's like Shamet, LeVert, Jeff Green, who else? Maybe TLC or Jared Allen. Jared Allen, Jeff Green, right? Shamet, LeVert, and who's the other one? Who's the other piece? My brain. I think, mainly it'll probably be TLC, right? That will be their bench unit normally, right? But now the issue is that now they actually take out KD, right? First at 5 minutes left, and they leave Kyrie. Now they stagger only for the first quarter. That's what they do. So they would stagger him at the first quarter. So LeVert comes in and he's not doing that bench stuff anymore. Kyrie sometimes ball handles. LeVert's like he's mixed. Then now they'll start the second quarter, right? Because they'll have at like 5 minutes, obviously KD comes out, Kyrie stays. Then at 3 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, KD comes back, Kyrie comes out. So LeVert's still playing with one of those guys now. So it's not the same realm that he was getting in the first 2 games. Because even when he struggled in the first 2 games, he still didn't struggle like this type of struggle, right? It was still production. So then that's affecting him. So then now, after now the whole first quarter, now at the top of the second, you have it where they completely take out KD and Kyrie, and then they have LeVert back in, or they have LeVert still in, and is now Jeff Green comes in, and you have Allen at the 5, Jeff Green at the 4, right? LeVert at the 3, TLC, and then and Shaman, and LeVert's basically playing the 1. Sorry. So that's what that's the lineup you have. Now he's doing the pick and roll. So he's not getting consistent. This is what I do play. So it's affecting him clearly. And that's what you're seeing with LeVert, right? So now because LeVert is not performing or giving production, that's why now they're even doing the staggering, which is affecting LeVert even more. And that's why now it's like, God damn, they're struggling. And that's been the always. This is what's happening is that when they start the quarter with all the bench and there's no KD and Kyrie, lose lead, down 10 in the blink of an eye. And when you look at it like that, you're like, God damn, yo. Then they have to bring in KD or Kyrie staggered and bring one in earlier than they would want to. So then now it's like LeVert, because it's like, yo, we're sussing offensively. Because if you look at it, offensively, there's no issues with KD and Kyrie. Like, KD and Kyrie, they solid. They more than solid. Like, KD off an Achilles injury, this man came back and is averaging 28 points. And only because of the last two games, his production dropped. Before last game, he was averaging 28 on 50+% from the field and 50+% from 3. That's what he was doing. And he was 90% from the free throw line. But currently, after the last game, he's averaging 28. And now he's averaging 51% from the field, 46% from 3, which is still elite. You know what I'm saying? And he's shooting 89% from free throw. So he's basically 50, 40, 90 on 28 points per game. That's reckless. 7 rebounds, 5 assists. That's elite. Off an injury, and y'all try to act like he's not the same guy. He's different. Like, it's KD's fault they're losing. Like, what are they doing? Like, come on now. Yes, they missed a 1-2 game winner, which was great looks. Great looks. That was great looks. If you go look at it or pop it up on the screen, Banks. That was great looks. That was 2 great looks. Like, those are like one rattled and then one just off target, but straight line was on target. It was just too long. Like, bro, what are you talking about? Well, that's great looks. Like, you think they're missing that always? You think they're not clutch because of that? Y'all are in for a rude awakening. Keep that same energy. That's all I got to say. Keep that same energy. Have your laugh now. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's good. It's good. Keep that same energy. That's all I got to say. Keep that same energy. Keep that same energy. But, bro, oh my God, this is that. You'll see. Especially the Bron fans going off. Don't let me bring up the Dallas Mavericks fan. Don't let me bring those clips up. Don't let me bring up all the bricks he be doing in the like. I'm not even going to go into that because that's the battle that is happening. But it's okay. It happens. You know what I'm saying? It happens. It's great luck. Look at the misses. Are they clapping the backboard? Are they, the ball almost getting stuck? Are they hitting wide right, wide left, hitting the back corner of the backboard? Like, no, air ball. No, these are rattles back rim. Like, these are, it's supposed to go in, but they just missed. It's good. It's good. KD missed 2 now. It's good. Don't worry. Don't worry. You'll see. Anyways, now we passed that. But look, that's what KD's averaging. And now look at Kyrie. Kyrie averaging 27 points. His career high so far. 27 points. 48% from the field, which when he started off the season, it was 60 points, 60 from the field and 60 from 3. But it's hard to sustain that, obviously, because that's reckless. But he's still averaging 48, which is almost 50, right? From the field. And he's shooting 39 from 3. Almost 50 from the field and almost 40 from 3-point line. And he's shooting 100% from the free throw line. So right now he's basically 50, 40, 100. So these guys aren't the issue. Don't let media fool you like it's them. They're not the issue. It's a team issue. Those 2 guys are eating supreme. Supreme. Upsize. Upgrade. Upsize your fries. Supreme. Big gulp. That's what they doing. They eating. Buffet style. All you can eat. These are reckless numbers. Like, they are performing. Real performing. But they're losing team issues. So me just doing that clearly knocked that off the boards. You know what I'm saying? Me doing that clearly, I canceled all that doo-doo media narrative or whatever y'all try to paint out. I cancel that shit. That's off the board. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's irrelevant. That's not applicable. That's invalid. Incorrect. Because you came for that IQ. That's what I do. So I disproved that shit. I debunked that already. That's out the window. Okay? So that is not the issue. Those two aren't the issue. All right? Now let's look at the actual issue of the team. So their main issue. So I already told y'all not the hierarchy, but the issues with play style with those two in terms of Dinwiddie and LeVert. And then Dinwiddie going down. Like their defense now, which is their main issue. Their defense has been atrocious. This defense that I'm seeing is looking like Portland defense. Portland defense is terrible. It's always been. Always been. Hence why Steph got 62. Their defense has always been fugazi, whatever term you want, garbaggio, and a garbage, anus. It don't matter. Atrocity, like it don't matter what term you want to. That Portland's defense has been atrocious. And the Nets, for the first time, have been applying that type of defense. I'm looking at miscommunication, no switchability. One person, KD switching, and that's the thing too. With like I'm gonna talk about that with KD, which is where I expect him to start stepping up, and that's what you're starting to see. He's starting to realize the kind of luxury he was getting when he was in Golden State. You can see that he's starting to realize that. And what I mean by that is that not that it's KD's fault, but Golden State, and that's all that goes hand in hand with also Steph Curry too, as well, with him going to work and him not doing as much before the 62, right? Golden State it's not that they just had talent in terms of like their talent in terms of Clay and Steph. Obviously, a lot of the system like just took them to a whole new echelon in that system. But it's not just the fact that they had a system. It's not the fact that they have the best shooters you've ever seen in terms of those two, right? Before even KD got there. But their role players are one of the most IQ role players that you have in the league. Like it's like, these are little things. They do the intangibles that y'all don't even notice is happening. Like just like KD came there and I'm watching KD on defense. And he was it's like he just fit. He just loved it in terms of like, you don't have to say nothing. That's KD. Like KD just wants to play ball. KD doesn't yell at niggas OD. Like obviously he talks shit and whatever, but you notice him in OKC. That's been the knock for me only about KD is the leading aspect because his game leads obviously. And just like Kawhi, him and Kawhi are the same in that aspect where they come out to play and their game will do all the talking. Right? They don't want, yo, nigga, switch that, do this, or no, and all that communicate. They expect you to, they demand excellence, so they do the talking behind the scenes. But on the court, like they demand excellence that you should already be doing what you need to do. And that's been my issue. When they're sussing, nigga, talk it through. Get at them. Be vocal. And KD and Kawhi both weren't doing that earlier on, right? And when you look at it, when Golden State, that's why KD was it was like, damn, he's like in heaven, in basketball heaven, because not just the shooting with those two, like that's besides the point. It's the IQ. That's why Draymond could yell at KD and he felt no ways because the IQ, and that's what you hear him say, the IQ of those players were cerebral. The IQ of those players were on a different level, a different echelon. They don't need to look at each other, and the switching was like this. They just look at what's happening. I'm about to switch. They just know. It's like the IQs, you just know when it's just IQ is IQ. Like the play just, why would I not switch when they all have great defense? Right there, you can see the pick is about to come. Just switch easy. It's about to switch easy. They don't even point. Sometimes you'll see him point, but they don't even point. Curry's on a bad situation, bump Curry, go to the corner. He gets switched. Curry's on a big. You see the guy from the corner just come take Curry's guy. Curry goes. They don't even talk. Like it's like water. It's just so. That's how just so at ease it was. So now you can see, and that's what these clips that are playing right now. They put me in the corner. You know what I'm saying? Or I put myself in the corner, right? And you can see right now, like you see KD getting angry. There's so many little things. Like KD will have a mismatch where Shaman is there, or like he has Westbrook on him. He's asking for the ball. He's like, go throw it high. Shaman's so scared to throw it. He passes it away. KD's like, yo, give me the rock. Joe Harris with miscommunication on defense. You see him talking to Joe Harris way more than he wants to. You see him go to Nash like, yo, what kind of IQ are these guys doing? Like, there's no IQ. That's why he's pointing to his head. Like, where's the IQ? Like, he's cheesed. This is the most cheesed I've seen, or most upset, most angry I've seen KD, and frustrated I've seen KD in a minute. He was complaining the whole game. Not to the refs. The refs he complained on 1-2, but to his teammates. Like, he was hella like aggressive in terms of, yo, what are y'all doing? Like, what is this? Because it's bare no IQ. Why? Like, auto switching, like KD's so, and you can see when KD's switching and certain things he's doing, like they don't switch that. He's assuming, man, just no. And he has to break out of that. He's going to understand, and that's going to come with time. He's going to understand that, yo, I've been getting luxury. Like, it's not regular. Like, in Golden State, even the role players weren't regular role players. Like, the IQ was too high. I can't assume that every nigga has that. Shamet don't have that kind of IQ. Like, he's not switching everything. Like, he's not going to read that. He's going to follow his guy. I'm already here. Why switch? No, read the positioning. Why would I fight through? And that's going to make the guy open. I'm already here. I'm not in a position to just slip through. Like, it's too much work to do that. Switch. We only stop switching if mans can't pad. Bare times they don't communicate and no switch. And KD's used to not communicating with switch because IQ guys read it. So little things like that is affecting. You could see it deploying on defense and affecting their defense. You get what I'm saying? Offensively, you're seeing KD with bare turnovers. KD's not a turnover guy. One, obviously, with his rust and dribbling, he's getting a 1-2 turnover, right? But you've seen him, like, he looks at Kyrie looks at him, but then looks away, he throws it, goes out of bounds. Right? Yeah, he's trying to pass, so they're running a play. Kyrie even trying to pass to Jared Allen. There's just so much miscommunication and chemistry issue in terms of offensively, and that they didn't have that. They didn't have it the first two games. They're moving on, I guess now when Dinwiddie is out and other guys have to step up in different roles and do more production, and they're relied on more to do this play that they were like the D role in that play. Now they're playing the C role in that play. So it's a different, you know what I'm saying? It's a different, this is just deep context and deep things that people don't think about and don't see that as transpiring. Everything has shifted, right? So when Dinwiddie is there and he's playing, his role in this play or in this type of offense, he's playing, right? So he's taking up this section of this play or whatever the case is. Now those role players are only known to play the lesser part of this option in this role or in this play. Like, let's say if you're doing bare screens for Harris, Shamet will be in the corner. He's not involved. But now there's no Dinwiddie, so everyone kind of gets a step up in elevation in the role they have to play. So they not play the Dinwiddie role in that play, which is set in the screen, which they weren't part of playing before. So now you're involved more. So different guys have to do different more things or different things now that a player has dropped out. Those are deep level context thinking IQ that people don't understand. And it plays a huge part when there's a team that is just coming together for the first time. It hits them more harder than a team that's been together. Like, let's say the Raptors, right? When Kawhi, let's say, comes out, then you have to replace Kawhi. That's even out of context. My fault. Kawhi, let's say Lowry is injured, and Van Vliet now has to replace Lowry's role. It's not a big drop off because it's the same. Everyone knows, like, you've been running that for so long that, and you have your cores together that every man knows everything. You know what you have to do. Once he's out, I already know. I got it. Say less. It's an opportunity for me. They're not even looking at it as that. Obviously, everyone looks at it as an opportunity, but it's more so that, damn, Dinwiddie's out. Okay, I got to run the play. Like, they're not a full unit. They haven't even ran a whole season yet. So now one guy, a missing piece, hits them harder and affects them more than it would or than it should in terms of other teams. Or without that guy, without A.B. Bradley, they're still there because they've been the whole season. They gotten familiar with what that role is and what that lockup is. Okay, Rondo, do that Bradley lockup. You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that. Like, they can replace. It's more easier to do that now. So that's what's affecting them, obviously. But it's still, like I said, there's still no excuse for them not winning the win. I'm just explaining. I'm not giving excuses. I'm explaining. They still shouldn't lose to the Wizards regardless. But that's been an issue. Their other issue has been defensive rebound. Their defensive rebound has been atrocious. I didn't think that was going to be an issue. Their defensive rebound, my goodness. That's been like, that and their defense has been the biggest issues right now. Obviously, offensively, Sometimes TLC will miss. Sometimes Joe Harris is missing. Kyrie sometimes is struggling a 1-2 game. Like, they're still in games. They're not blown out. They only got blown out at the end. The reason why they got blown out versus the Hawks was that when KD and Kyrie went to the bench, then now there's nothing. So that's their main issues. Defense, right? Rebounding, defensive rebounding, which is one that should maybe like that should never be a reason. Like that one is one of the most like you not defensive rebounding is just that's terrible. No championship caliber team doesn't do that. Like you have to secure the rebound. You defend, secure the board. That's part of defense. You know what I'm saying? So that in itself, so those are the two things. And then even with those two things happening, they still could have won these games if Nash staggered the minutes. That to me is one of the biggest reasons they've lost, because even with bad defense, they've been in clutch games. But if you watch the games, the reason why it's even clutch, or the reason why they get blown out now, or the reason why they're not winning is because every time when they get to a moment where KD and Kyrie are on the bench together, they lose the lead. They lose the lead, or if they're down 2, they're now down 9. They're now down 11. Like, and then KD and Kyrie have to come back, and then they still come back and make it a game. But only one time they weren't able to make it a game, which was versus the Hawks. But every other the second game. But every other game, they've lost close games. So that's one positive thing. The fact that they're not getting blown out tells me that they're just kinks they have to work out. But even with those kinks, if they don't work out those kinks in terms of defensively, and those were still issues, if they just staggered KD and Kyrie's minutes, they would offset it offensively. That's something that like most teams can't even do. The fact that those guys are so cerebral offensively and playing this well, but then when they both go to the bench, there's no production at all. LeVert not doing nothing, like there's no production at all. And that's what has been the main issue, because without that, they would still be winning. When you add that, now these other problems even make it more bigger of a problem than what it already is. And that's what it is. Because and I know Stat Nash it's a marathon, not a sprint. So he doesn't want to overuse these guys. And then now the bigger picture is lost where they're injured, because even if they're an 8th seed, if these guys are healthy going into the playoffs, they're not no 8th seed. Like they could beat anybody in a series. Like this is the one team, like they could be the 8th seed and make history and go to the finals as an 8th seed. Like that's how elite they are. That's how elite they are. Let's be honest. So I know Nash isn't too worried about seeding. If you really understand basketball, I wouldn't be too worried about seeding with this team. With this team, right? But I understand from Nash's perspective that it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you don't want to use KD play 30-something minutes, and he's already playing. How much minutes is KD already playing? KD already, off an Achilles injury, is already playing 34 minutes. Like he played with Golden State, he played 34.6 minutes, 34 minutes. He's always played 34 minutes ever since. Like that's what he's been playing, 34, 35 minutes. Only his earlier years, he was playing 39 minutes, but he's been playing 34 minutes because he's just so cerebral that he don't need to play that much minutes. You know what I'm saying? And then right now, he literally is playing his last year in Golden State, he played 34.2 minutes. And then his last year in Golden State, 34.6 minutes. And then now he's playing 34.2 minutes. So he's on par with that. You know what I'm saying? So like he's already playing solid minutes, and it's only jumped up off since Dinwiddie got injured. But he doesn't want to, off an injury, just give this guy bare minutes and then he's fatigued. And when you fatigue, you now have a slower body. You have different body mechanics. Like when you're fatigued, that's when now you drop your heel. You do this. You don't move. You start falling more. You do what when you're fatigued, you're not moving the same. So he wants to, and that when you're not moving the same, you're more susceptible to injury in those situations. So he doesn't want to overwork him, which is understood. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Get him maybe 20 games. Now you give him, you know what I'm saying? We want sample size to see that he's good first, right? That's probably been something that even the probably higher front office has probably told him and forced him to do. So I can understand why he hasn't fully staggered the minutes. I've seen him adjust the minutes, right? I've seen him stagger the minutes at times. So let me just give a quick breakdown basically of the minutes. Basically at the start of the season, they used to just only KD and Kyrie only came in together. They never played without each other. They only came in together. They'll play up to like 3 minutes left in the first quarter. Then they'll come out together. And then you'll have LeVert do his bench shit with the 5 guys. And then right at like around 8 minutes in the second quarter, KD and Kyrie will come back in 7 minutes, sometimes even 7, sometimes even 6, because the bench was playing good and they were eating, right? And they were locking up and playing great. So, and then Dinwiddie will come back earlier in that time and then play. But now since Dinwiddie left, they tried that shit versus the Hornets and it didn't work. It didn't work. When they went to the bench, the bench was getting exposed. The bench was doing less production because Dinwiddie wasn't coming back earlier. So you had more bench players have to elevate and get more time, right? So it wasn't like Dinwiddie and LeVert staggered more so than those guys, right? So now they had to change it. Nash had to change everything. So what he adjusted now is that you'll see it. They'll start the game obviously with the starters, and then around 5 minutes, so that's the first 7 minutes of play. Around 5 minutes left in the first, you'll see KD come out first, right? KD comes out first, and when KD comes out, Kyrie's still in the game. So now he's staggering them. Kyrie's still in the game, and LeVert will come in. And this is what I was saying, it's affecting LeVert, but that's not the point. That's Kyrie's still in the game. Kyrie will play now to around 3 minutes left, right? Kyrie comes out, three or 2 minutes left in the first, and then KD comes back in. KD comes in, right? So now KD's back in, and then KD will end the quarter. Then at the second quarter, both of them are out. And he still keeps that. So at least LeVert has his bench shit for like the first section. And that's still been atrocity, and that's still been no production. So now he brings Kyrie earlier. He brings Kyrie around 9 or around 10 or around 8. Like he brings him earlier. And then KD will come later around 7. Right? So he's been staggering them, but there's still a moment where they're not staggered and they're both off. And that's where I'm like, yo, that small time frame is kind of like what Kawhi with the Raptors, both those times when Kawhi will be off, that 3 minutes, 4 minutes that he's off, lose lead, like it just changes the whole trajectory of the game. Now you're fighting comeback mode, and it's just atrocious. And that's been actually the main reason why they've lost, because even with those other things I mentioned, like I said, they could have still won because their offense is so potent. Like when they beat the Hawks, their offense have overseeded. Like their offense is that cerebral that it could overtake their bad defense. They can go on just reckless runs, all that type of stuff. If you miss, you better not miss. You better score every shot. So they still could have won those games. But then now just that staggering minutes has been an issue, right? So when you look at it from that perspective, I get why he's not doing it or why he's not doing it fully, where it's like one is in at all times. Don't matter. That's kind of like what Dame and CJ do. One of those guys are in at all times. Never do you see both of them off the court, right? One is always in. That's what Chris Paul and Harden would do. That's what Chris Paul and Westbrook would do. They interchange. One is always in at all times. That's what Love and what's it called? Sorry, Love. Kyrie and LeBron did. That's also what Steph and KD did. That's also what Steph and Klay did before KD. Like there's always one in at all times. Never both are off. Right? You stagger the minutes. So that's what I think Nash will end up getting to, especially with Dinwiddie now being down, but he's just not going to do it too early. So I don't expect this output and this outcomes to be the same throughout the whole season. It'll eventually change, especially even when you get to playoff time now. He's not doing that shit. He's going to stagger them, right? So that's one of the main reasons. But again, their defensive rebounding, their miscommunication, like a lot of these things are just growing pains that they're going to have to fix. Even LeBron's Heat teams, when he went to the Heat, they were 4-4, like they were 500 to start the season. Like this is just regular growing pains of a brand new team completely with no like core. Like this is just a brand new team, like a brand new team, right? Brand new situation. So I expect growing pains. It just didn't look like it at first. And I think if Dinwiddie was still there, they would have been like 7-1 and all that type of shit. Like that's what they would have been. But Dinwiddie coming out just made the bench like everyone else has to now play a way higher role than they would ever have to. And that's adding to a lot of miscommunication because they never had to communicate like that. They never had to play like that. In practice, they were never doing that. They played their role. Now they're playing outside their role and doing more than what they have to do. So now it's like it's a brand new team now. Right? And that's why you're seeing a lot of miscommunication. You see a lot of because they never played that. So they're learning on the fly. That's literally what you're seeing. So I'm not worried. I just know they're going to get better and better and better. I like this in terms of I want it to happen now as opposed to later. Happen now. now it's forcing Katie to be more vocal. It's forcing Katie to have to teach now because they're not those other guys, right? You have to teach now, and it's only gonna help Katie. It's only gonna help them be more vocal, get more mad, get more angry, demand more excellence. Like all of that is great. I love it. So yes, it looks bad in the moment or right now. They should have lost to the Wizards, but for the trajectory of the season and how I expect them to finish the season, how I expect them to be in the playoffs, like I expected this. I just didn't expect it right now. I expected it maybe a little bit later down the line. But if you look at it, I'd rather have it now. But I did expect something like this at one point in time. And the fact that I'm seeing Katie react like this is how Kobe react. This is how MJ react. This, like, no, what are you like? Come on now. And you're going to demand excellence from those guys. Those guys are going to improve. You don't have to get assists to improve, right? Real improving a player is demanding excellence and teaching him. And like, this is what it looks like. God, what are you doing here? No, accountability, responsibility, all that type of stuff. And that's what I'm starting to see. And it being more vocal. And that's what the knock with Kawhi and KD have been. But I'm starting to see that because Kyrie has always been vocal, right? So you've always been seeing that. But KD snapping out of that shell and doing that I actually, out of all this negativity, that was the positive I seen. And then the fact that KD's trying to dunk on mans like bare times. He dunked off his Achilles injured right leg. Like all of that type of stuff. Like I'm seeing so many positive things. And the fact that he's eating like this, like, come on now, look at these numbers, bruh. So like, again, I'm not worried. Don't let media fool you. I know they're going to roast the Nets and say they're not that it. They're not that. People are going to live in the moment saying no, you see, y'all were tripping. They're not doing nothing. The Heat will beat them. Like even the Bucks are struggling. Even Miami was struggling. Like, come on now. These are teams who like this, who are solid. Like you're like the East right now. If you look at the standings, it don't look like how it should look. You know what I'm saying? It don't look like how it should look at all. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you look at it like from that perspective, I see why people obviously are like, what's going on here? But you gotta understand like this right now, like the standings even are shifted. Like there's a lot of teams that don't look like how they look right now. It's Philadelphia that's 5-1 and the Pacers in Cleveland and Orlando and Atlanta. Boston is the 6th seed right now. You know what I'm saying? The Knicks are the 3rd, like the Milwaukee's 3-3. The Nets are 3-4. You know what I'm saying? The Raptors are 1-4. You know what I'm saying? Like the Miami Heat are 2-3. Like a lot of these teams aren't like who are going to end up being there, aren't playing their best right now. And there's, beginning season, quick turnaround, a lot of that stuff, different things. It's just a lot of things that is happening right now, right? So, it's starting the season off at Christmas time, right? You're not starting it beforehand when mans are good, mans are eating turkey, doing doing a 1-2 party. And like, I'm not reading too much into like the teams that I expect to be good that are doing bad. I'm not reading too much into that. Even the Nuggets right now, like in the West, the Nuggets are what? The Nuggets are 2-4. The Mavericks are 2-4. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that, right? So I'm not too worried about that. But the Lakers, the Suns, the Clippers 5-2. Like I said, you see, Clippers, Suns, Lakers, they're 1-2-3. Like that's why I know that's normal for me. That's not something that's gonna change. You know what I'm saying? That's normal for me. Stuff like that. The Hawks 4-2, like stuff like that. Like those are normal type of things. I think that we're gonna start seeing. But in terms of just there's a lot of like a lot of these blowouts, 50-point blowouts. They're seeing a lot of things that aren't normal, but there's reasons for it, and they will change. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not too worried about the Nets right now. I will be doing a breakdown on the Clippers and the Suns. PG D-Buck. Oh my God. Bro, you already know. But at the end of the day, the Nets, I'm just giving you the IQ because that's what I do. You feel me? Anyways, it's True Talks. Because True Talks. Share, like, and subscribe. We out here. There's no doubt here. There's no doubt here. You feel me? Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Trust me, the Nets are gonna be they're gonna be elite. Don't worry about it. We good, man. We good, man. Don't worry about that, man. You already know. And I'm out, man.